Hello Internet, this is Olin from What I'm Listening To, here, once again, with another episode of Quickies. It's kind of late, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, because I want to go to bed. First album I have today, they might be Giants, with the title that I'm not 100% sure what it's called, The Spine. So the only reason why I got this CD is because of the very first track, Experimental Film. There is a Homestar Runner animation that I believe is actually the official music video for that song. And growing up watching a lot of Homestar Runner, I became obsessed with that and realized that I really haven't listened to not only a lot of They Might Be Giants, but haven't listened to this album at all. So I decided, let's check it out. All of this is lyrics with some kooky artwork there. Yeah, anyways, I know these guys are not to be taken serious, tongue-in-cheek lyrics and such, so I'm interested in hearing the rest of the stuff on here. The next CD I have is a project, I believe it's pronounced Foehn, spelled F-O-E-H-N, and this is Hidden Cinema Soundtrack. So this I found in the experimental section with the Third Eye Foundation's stuff, and I am a big fan of said project and Matt Elliott and such, so I had to know what this was. Not a clue what it could possibly sound like. Written and performed by Foehn, thanks to Matt, Roger, October. Yeah, so total mystery to me, but I think the cover's really cool. I'm assuming Matt Elliott is involved with this. I'm not sure, but I think it'll be a cool listen regardless. Next up, yet another experimental find. This is a Jim ORourke CD, one of many albums Jim has released. We actually had a bunch of Jim's stuff in the experimental section. I'm assuming we just got a bunch of his CDs in from a collection someone must have sold. But I could have picked any of the albums in that section, but there was something about this one that drew me in, so I decided to grab it, give it a listen. This packaging is wild. Put that off to the side, and I want to take a closer look at all this. Some information, I'm guessing, about the music. It's in a different language, so I can't really read it. Jim's stuff really varies from musique concrète, drone, free jazz, to even just straightforward alternative rock. Most of that alternative stuff is his stuff on Drag City, which I adore. The experimental stuff, however, I'm not terribly familiar with, and that's just because there's so much of it. And just based on this booklet, I'm assuming this is a collaboration album, which is something he does regularly. He collaborates with tons and tons and tons of people. A lot of notable folks in the experimental scene, like KG Hino and Finesse, he's worked with, among many others, of course. But anyways, yeah, this CD seems interesting. I don't know what to expect from it, but I respect Jim ORourke and everything he does, regardless of how it sounds, so I'm excited to check this one out. Next up, I have a Tomita album, a live album, live in New York. I love Tomita. I think he is a phenomenal composer. And for those who don't know, he is a big deal in the world of early electronic music. He worked with the Moog synthesizer, and he recreated a lot of famous classical pieces. So, for example, he did a rendition of Clair de Lune, which his rendition I think is my favorite. It is my favorite version I've ever heard of the song. And that was the gateway into his music for me. But anyways, I found this in the 20th century classical section, and we never seem to have any of Tomita's work, which doesn't completely shock me just because I assume he's pretty well sought out. For good reason, of course, because his music is just phenomenal. And this looks like there's a variety of things he does, so it's not just one composer. Let's see, there's a Debussy, a Chinese traditional, a Bach song, Wagner. Yeah, so he does a Stravinsky. Yeah, so he does a variety of stuff on this album, which sounds cool. I'm curious how the quality of the recordings are, considering it is a live album. It's recorded, I'm guessing, sometime in the 80s. I thought I saw that somewhere. Well, anyways, yeah, live in New York, back to earth. Really looking forward to listening to this one, and really to anybody who is interested in Tomita, then check him out. His music is beautiful and well worth listening to. And finally, the last CD I have, this is a Porcupine Tree album. This is the album Stupid Dream. We got a huge influx of Porcupine Tree albums, and it's funny because I remember there was a time where Amoeba had a lot in stock, and then lately we just have had none of their stuff. What we have filed in there is primarily Steven's solo stuff, but not any of the Porcupine Tree material. So I was really thrilled to see that we were getting a bunch of their albums in. We might even have everything that they've put out. But I gravitated towards this CD because I think the cover is just tremendous. It looks like just this crazy sci-fi factory of CDs, making CDs. But I'm a big fan of one of their albums. I think it's pronounced and I just can't get enough of that album. So I've just been wanting more albums that sound like it, and just using a flowchart of Porcupine Tree's music, courtesy of the internet, I found that this was a good next step. Oh, there's a little promo sticker there. I'm not the only one who does that. But yeah, so this was the album to check out, and I might actually end up buying this. I've only listened to one song off of it, the first track, Even Less, and frankly, I was blown away by it. Just such a big sound. The harmonies are beautiful. It has that spacey atmosphere that I love that this band does, and you know, Steven is just really good at recording stuff and just making stuff sound fantastic. So I honestly think that the rest of this album will be a great listen, but I'll have to check it out and get back to you all on that. Okay, that concludes this episode of Quickies. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.